The moment we cross the border from the US into Nuevo Laredo, Mexico, we're told to put the camera down. This town's in the grip of organised crime. Despite that, it's where the US is shipping out those who've come to the States asking for asylum, shuttling them across the border to wait for months between hearings under a policy called MPP, or Remain in Mexico. And when they arrive in Nuevo Laredo, they're being systematically kidnapped. Shelter managers, NGOs and migrants themselves have told Al Jazeera.
3 out of 4 people on this program in Nuevo Laredo, where we are working for more than a year now, were reporting a recent event of kidnapping.
4 families shared their stories with us. For this Salvadoran, travelling with 2 small children, it happened just after being left on the border bridge. Like the others, he was too frightened to show his face.
I was scared, desperate. I took a taxi. In just 2 blocks, a black truck blocked us off. They told me to get out. They put us in the truck and took us to a house where they kept us for 5 days.
He says 21 others were in the safe house too.
All of them kidnapped. They had Venezuelans, Haitians, people from Cameroon and Mexicans.
Everyone told us similar stories. Asylum seekers appear to be picked off as soon as they enter the city. Their relatives are then called for the ransom. Listen to this 16-year-old Honduran.
My mom was scared, crying. She didn't know what to do. She couldn't get together the $800 they wanted.
It appears highly organised. Migrants told us you can even get a code word if you pay thousands of dollars so you're not kidnapped again. Mexican officials offer no protection, the asylum seekers told us. Among them, this Honduran man, kidnapped with his 11-year-old son.
The migration officers kicked us out, practically threw us onto the street. And not 3 meters from there, a car picked us up and kidnapped us. And I thought to myself, are they in it with the gang too?
Mexico's migration authorities denied our interview request, but told us via a statement, the moment that the foreigners are received by the National Migration Institute, they're given food and the opportunity to be safely taken to the interior of the country in coordination with the National Guard or to safe shelters. All of the migrants and shelter workers we talked to in Nuevo Laredo said that's not what's happened. They've had to find their own way to shelters, which they say they then can't leave. All of the asylum seekers we talked to say that they don't ever go out of the shelter unless they're going straight to their hearing, and that means that many of them have been inside for more than a month. It wasn't even safe for us to film in the street, and every time the asylum seekers return from their hearings in the US back across the bridge to Mexico, they're running a risk. What do you think are the chances that you'll be kidnapped again?
They're high, very high. You're not safe.
At least the kidnappers seem less brutal than in other parts of Mexico. Migrants told us they weren't hit and were let go if their families didn't have the money, but the trauma is still acute. And with Mexico and the US seemingly unwilling to acknowledge the severity of the problem, it's hard to see things changing. John Holman, Al Jazeera, Nuevo Laredo.